Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting a short series on a new fish tank that I'm going to be setting up. It's going to be a rather small tank, around 10 litres. Actually for my fighting fish or betta fish that I've got. It's actually not anything really in relation to this tank, but just thought I'd show you my main African tank that I have set up. So this episode is basically going to just give an unboxing and a rundown of the new tank that I've bought, and as well as my plans for it. And then there's going to be a few episodes of me sort of setting it up and maybe getting a few little pieces to improve the tank. But right now I'm going to show you the tank that I'm looking forward to upgrading. Okay, so this is my fighting fish tank. It's a 10-litre tank. I've had it for quite a number of years now. It's had a few fighters in it over that time. It's a good size for them, and they've always been happy and healthy. As you can see, it's got the hang-on filter on the back, which makes cleaning pretty easy. It does have a light on it that was a bit of a later addition. It didn't come with the tank or anything, but it provides enough light for the fish. I've never had any live plants, only the plastic plants. Usually does have gravel in it, but this time around chosen to go gravelless. And this fight I've had for a little while now, short fin fighter, and yeah, he's a pretty cool little fish. So yeah, so let's get to having a look at the new tank that I'm going to be replacing this one with. Okay, so here it is. This is the replacement tank I'm going to set up. It's a FLUVAL SPEC and it's a 10-litre tank. Now I believe when I went to the shop I sort of had a look at a similar tank to what I've got now that I'm replacing. I believe the other one might be around 8 litres. So this one will be a little bit of a step up. And of course, as mentioned, this has a little bit more powerful light, and it actually comes with the tank, so it sort of fits nicely on top and looks like a bit more part of the tank than the other light. This will also enable me, I hope, to keep some sort of low light plants in there, like some Anubis or something. I plan on keeping it pretty bare, so perhaps an Anubis and just a little bit of driftwood or something like that. Maybe a little plant in a pot or something, but nothing too crazy. I like to give the fighter somewhere to sort of hide in and go through, and anyone that's had a fight will see they love to go through plants and rocks and look for any food that's hidden away there, and they seem to really enjoy that. And by the same token, I like to give them a bit of space to swim around. I got the black. There is also a white one that has obviously the white coloured plastic. This has a filter sort of compartment in the rear where I plan to put a heater. It doesn't come with a heater, so I think that will be a future video. So let's unbox it and have a look. Actually, before we do that, let's actually have a little bit more of a look around the box. Sorry, I only showed you the front there, but let's have a look at a few of the details. So it's got a bit of an ad for its water care treatments. I do already have a fighter sort of yellow bottle. I'm not exactly sure. I believe that's Tetra brand. I will show that when I actually set up the tank to get it sort of fighter ready. Now here is the spec-friendly species. One thing I actually hadn't thought about and I would love to get again are these cherry barbs. I don't know if anyone out there has kept them before. They're fantastic little fish. The male and females are quite different. The males here obviously get a nice bright red. The females are quite nice in their own right. A brown sort of lightish browny silver with that brown stripe on them. They're a gorgeous little fish, very fish friendly. I've never had any trouble keeping them with any other fish. I actually hadn't thought about it, but this tank might be pushing it for a pair of them. I think you may be able to keep like say a male. But that is something to actually think about. Perhaps like a neon tetra or something would be okay in there, but they are a schooling fish. I don't think I would keep just one by itself. Danios are a pretty good call for one. They're fairly active though. White cloud minnows I think would be great for this tank, and that's something that I could think about in the future. And of course the Beto, which is what we'll be keeping in it this time. So it's got just a little bit of information on the back there. So let's have a look at a little bit more of the box. So here's a little bit more about what's included in the box. Now this is the newer model. I believe I checked this model out. It maybe was a couple of years ago or a few years ago. And there was a few negatives that people had spoken about. One was the light that came with the original setup. So they have improved that for this one. It's 20% brighter. It does look like quite a powerful little setup. Actually, we'll have a look at that when we open it, but that's a big plus for me. I love the idea of actually being able to keep a plant or two in this tank. My aim, I think, is to keep it gravelless or bare bottom or whatever you want to call it again. But it would be pretty cool one day to set it up with full sort of dirt and so forth in the bottom and have it like full of plants, low light plants, if that's possible. That might be another idea for another day. Now it has a massive filter compartment in the rear section. I don't know if I've seen a tank with quite as much filter surface area ratio to water as this. I can't wait to open it up and actually have a look at it. It's got a massive sponge filter in the back here with a couple of little compartments. The Biomax sort of balls or whatever you want to call them, I'll definitely be using. The carbon, I think I'm going to not be using the carbon. And instead in that compartment I'm either going to put some sort of more filter medium, like some wool or something like that, or sort of that sort of polishing pad sort of media, which will soak up sort of a bit more of the dirty colour of any water. Well, obviously will also help with the bacteria and so forth, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure if I'll use the carbon. I know you can obviously put it in when the tank first gets set up to soak up all the bad things and stuff like that, but I'm only going to be having one fish in there, so I don't think the carbon is really necessary, and you've always got to replace it anyway, so yeah, we'll work that out as we go along. So obviously there it's talking about the LED there. It's got a convenient touch start day and night illumination, which seems pretty cool to me. It's got an all aluminium waterproof casing as well. And yeah, then just talking about the filter at the back there, which is 3-stage, and it is oversized. Mechanical, chemical and biological media, nice. Yeah, it looks quite good. So let's have a look at a little bit more of the box. Okay, so on the side here, it's just got a bit of self-promotion for the brand, and here's the white and the black. I'll just double check that I did get black again, and yes, I did. Good. I don't. The white does look quite nice, and they had that on display in the store. I think that would look good in certain situations. Where it's going to be placed though is on a black cabinet, so I think it's going to look best in the black. And you'll see the rear section is sort of got a honeycomb pattern on it, which hides the filter area. The original one, I believe, had a like sort of frosted glass, which didn't really look crash hot. But yeah, I think this looks actually really good. Again, we'll have a look a bit more when we open it up. So without further ado, let's open her up. Okay, now just before I actually remove the tank, I just wanted to show you how it was packed in the box. Now I'm pretty happy with the way the tank itself is packed in. It's got a bit of packing on the corners there. wouldn't mind it perhaps a little bit more protection around it. It doesn't look like it's damaged at all in any way, but yeah, I just thought I'd give you a look at how it's packed. Now these items were all actually loose on the inside. Again, there's nothing really there that's going to damage it, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more packing internally. I actually pack items for shipping myself as a job, so I would hope for a little bit more packing. But look, it doesn't look damaged anyway, so that's fine. But I just thought I'd give you guys a bit of a look at it before I take it out. Okay, so here's all the items out of the box. The lid itself was underneath the tank. It's got quite a bit of a rough edge here, as you can see. That will require, I think, a little bit of a clean up. I'll just give that a bit of a file back. I think that'll be fine though. Doesn't really look damaged. I think that's just a bit of a off-cut from when it was manufactured in the mould. The lid looks quite nice. You've got your outlet tube here for the the filter area and the little pump that comes with it. Actually, feels surprisingly very good quality, and the little end here moves around so you can direct your flow of water. Does feel like it needs a really good wash though. I'll make sure I do that before I set the tank up officially. So in here, I'm presuming will be your filter media, your pump, and your light. I could be wrong there. Oh, okay, here you go. So let's have a look at the tank as well. So this is the tank straight out of the box. It looks great with especially with the nice black silicone, which actually matches my Eheim tank. And I love how it's pretty much all black. I think it looks really nice. And that's really the primary reason why I'm replacing my small, better setup at the moment. I think this tank's just going to look a lot classier and a little bit nicer. And having a little bit larger filter area, I think, is going to be pretty good. As you would have seen earlier, my current tank has a little hang-on filter on the back, which is actually not the worst thing in the world, as the hang-on filters are quite easy to access. And it does quite fine for that size tank. But as you can see, this tank has a ginormous filter in the back here, and room for the pump, and going to be squeezing in a little heater on this side. Yeah, can't see really any damage at all on the tank. Again, it just needs a really nice cleanup. It does look really nice. So here's the filter section here comes out. This has the filter media. So you've obviously got your charcoal at the top there, and your little ceramics or whatever they are, Biomax stuff to hold in some good bacteria. So I'm probably going to place this in my other fighter tank just for a few days perhaps, before I actually set this up, just to get some bacteria started in there. And as I said, I probably won't be using the charcoal. I'll probably fill this with perhaps filter wool or something like that, just to help with something a little bit finer, clean. But that looks great, and I like the little handle there to pick it up. Really nice touch. Okay, so let's open up these little boxes here and have a look inside. Okay, so here's the items out of the boxes. So we have the pump, which is pretty cute, little baby pump there, which obviously this tube is going to be going on top of. The outlet will poke through here, and then the nozzle placed on to sort of lock that in place, and the pump will be down in this section. Now I do plan, as I said, I will be choosing a heater to slot in there beside the pump. I've got a couple of choices there. I guess one, I can go with my usual choice, which is a little adjustable heater that I actually have in the other fighter tank. I think that's a 25 watt, and you can actually adjust the temperature. It did need a little bit of adjusting in the other tank to get it to the right temperature. It looks like it would fit in this quite comfortably. There's also another one I've been looking at, which is a non-adjustable one, which runs at a consistent 26 degrees, supposedly, and it's quite a bit smaller. I'm thinking I'm going to go with that one, as when I do a water change and the water level drops down, I like to have the water covering the heater, so there's no issues with the heater overheating or anything like that. So if I can get a small enough heater in there, I actually don't need to turn the heater off for maintenance, which is something I like to do if possible. So in the next episode, I might cover my heater choice, and then full assembly, and actually putting water in. So look for that in episode 2. The rest of the items in here is a little power adapter sort of thing for the light. And here's the light itself, which does look quite nice. It's got a big on and off button on top there to tap, I presume. Looks like it has plenty of LEDs on there. I think that's going to be plenty bright enough for this sort of 10-litre size tank. Just noticed on top here, it's just I'm not sure if that's like a heat resistance material or paint or something that's on top, which just looks a little bit, I wouldn't say dodgy, just brings the quality down a little bit. But still, I think once it's set up, you probably won't even notice that at all. But it does look like a pretty good little setup. The cords look like they're long enough for what is needed. You're always going to, I guess, have it close to a power point. I think they should be long enough for what I'm going to do. It also came with a little instruction booklet here. I'm sure that's just about how to set up the tank in multiple languages, and of course it's showing the old anti-drip cord in case water runs down, etc., and about recycling any of the items. Not really super important stuff. Just double check here that the lid fits on nicely, which it does. Pretty happy with that lid, actually. Obviously the light's going to sit on here, which actually looks a little bit crooked, but I can have a crack at maneuvering that. As I said, really the only disappointing part is this part here, which is, I believe, from the manufacturing process, but it's quite a jagged edge as well. But I will give that a clean up with a little file, and that should be no problem at all. So yeah, I think the tank looks really nice. Would look great. I think if I ever do put some gravel or soil in here, I'd love to put some of the sort of black sand on top, or sort of maybe some black gravel over the mud if I am going to go sort of full planted. And I think that would just really make it look fantastic. And I think with some plants in here, the light on top, and even with the bare bottom, I think the fighter is really going to look stunning. So whether I get a new fighter or move the little guy I've got over, I'm not 100% sure yet, but really looking forward to setting this up. I think that's one of the best parts of the hobby. It's so fun and exciting getting a new tank and setting it up. Granted, this is only a small tank, and it'd be a lot more fun setting up a 50 litre or 100 litre. But I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And price-wise, it was, not too much at all. So I hope to see you in the next episode. That will be me choosing a heater for the tank, and fully setting this up together, and finally making a decision on what I'm going to be doing with this filter. I'll then fill it with water and power it all up, and we'll have a look how it looks fully set up. And in the future after that, probably an episode on what decor I'm going to put inside it, plant choice, etc. And once it's set up and running for a couple of weeks, and I do some water tests on it, make sure it's fish safe, I'll be then doing a pro and con video on it. You can probably tell there's already going to be a couple of cons for it, but we'll leave that for another episode. And then I'll probably do a follow-up episode once the fish is in, and he's settled in for perhaps for a few months, just to tell you how the tank's going and if I'm completely happy with it. And I hope that can be of help to people that are perhaps looking at this tank, or some of the alternative sizes, or just looking for a tank that's going to fit sort of one of the smaller fish. One thing it didn't actually have on the back there, I know it had primarily sort of tetras and barbs and so forth, is you could house a catfish in here also. It's a bit of a shame they didn't put on there like a little bristle nose or some cory catfish or something like that. I'm sure there's like a miniature L series catfish or something that you could fit in there as well. But you know, there is quite a few options with the 10-litre tank. I don't think it would be great for really schooling fish or really active fish that would need a bit more space, but the filter definitely will looks as though it's going to handle quite a bit of waste. So yeah, I think this tank is going to be quite nice for the sort of smaller fish, and specifically for fighters. I think that's maybe their target audience for this. The other thing is we're going to see what the flow is like. Obviously fighters don't like it super flowy, and I have heard of people putting some holes in this inlet pipe to make the flow a bit lighter, but we'll get to that. So thanks for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in episode 2.